always message us or send us a message on social media, which we will include all the links to at the very end. And it's also worth keeping an eye on all of our social media accounts kind of regularly over the next few weeks, because we'll be updating any kind of official updates that would be relevant to our area. So the Global Room is ran out of the Global Relations office here at Trinity. So the Global Relations office is responsible for caring and supporting international students throughout their journey in pre-arrival, through recruitment, study abroad, obviously us international student experience, and a few other relevant areas. So the Global Room is a space that's conveniently right next door to the Academic Registry. The Academic Registry is where you will go to get all of your kind of administrative setups for your student life cycle, for registration, classes, modules, etc. So we're conveniently located beside them in the Watts building, which is the back end of college. We'll be sending a video on social media to show you all where we are. But essentially our job is, Abby and I manage the Global Room, and we would sit on various committees to support international students on their journey. And we have 23 student ambassadors that are from all over the world, that are current Trinity students, just like you soon will be, and anybody returning. So essentially what we do is, with the International Student Support Hub, which you can see behind all those people, there's a bit of there's green and the white cupboards. That is a reception area where you can come and ask questions literally about anything. It can be as small as directions, where to get kind of leap cards, how to use public transport. If you just don't know where to go, we'll know where to send you or how to help you. And one of our main jobs is supporting your journey through the visa and immigration life cycle, which Abby will talk a lot about. We do various supports during the year, where we'll have infographics on everything that you need. We do videos, we do clinics, so it'll all be very clear to you. So I urge you to try not panic, because we will help you and we will support you when you get here. We run a lot of events. Obviously this year that may be done a little bit differently due to kind of capacity, but normally we celebrate national holidays, Thanksgiving, Chinese New Year, Diwali, various, obviously St. Patrick's Day, which is our Irish national holiday. So we will be doing stuff for that this year, but we just have to be a little more creative, but that's kind of our specialty. So with your help and our ambassadors' help, I'm sure we'll have a great year. So basically the Global Room is your home away from home. So that space where you see people, it's at one of our many events. And we have kind of lunch hours normally, but all of this stuff needs to be looked into. But all of our support services will be the same. We will still be giving out the same information, and where our messenger on social media is managed from 10 a.m. in the morning, kind of from 9 during orientation till 9 p.m. at night. So that's a good 12 hours. So although office hours in other areas within Trinity would close at about 5:30 p.m., we're there for an extra few hours in case anything happens after hours and you need our team's support. So Abby, if you want to move to the next slide.
Yeah. So we're just going to go through the visa and immigration process today. The difference between visa and immigration, how to apply for a visa right now, go through any updates that we have from the office and from the INIS website. And we won't go too much into immigration registration because it wouldn't be as relevant until after arrival, but more information will be given at orientation. But we'll give you an overview today. So as Michelle said, the Global Room team comprises of herself, me, and over 20 Global Room ambassadors. Guy is one of them, and he's joined us today, and he's going to be moderating the questions. If you want to say hello, Guy.
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
Hi, Guy.
Okay, so who needs a visa? If you are an EU citizen, no matter where you are in the world, if you have an EU passport, you do not need a visa to study in Ireland. But you will need to follow other processes when you arrive. So students from over 50 countries do not need a visa to apply for to come and study and live in Ireland. So these include Australia, Canada, Hong Kong, the USA, South Korea, Singapore, just the countries listed there. And to check for sure if you need a visa, there's a link below just there, and it'll tell you whether or not your country needs a visa, and it'll tell you what you need to do with regards to immigration. So for students who don't need a visa to enter Ireland, so what you need to bring with you for immigration control. So after you get off the plane, the first encounter you have is with immigration officers at border control. So you need your offer letter, proof that you've paid your fees, proof of funds, and medical insurance. Now, they may not ask for all of these documents, but it's good to have them with you just in case. And if the immigration officer is satisfied with your documents, they'll give you a stamp on your passport and you're ready to go. Now, one thing to point out here is that this comes before baggage claim. So we advise all students to have all of these documents with you in your carry-on luggage. So have all of your important documents, your passport, your offer letter, any scholarship letters that you might have with you in your carry-on luggage. So for those who need to apply for a visa, so there is the link there to apply for a study visa. I saw a question there that we'll probably address later on embassies. So we'll get into that a little bit later. So you need your offer letter from Trinity College. You need to show proof of English proficiency. Now there's a note at the bottom here, even if you don't need a TOEFL for your admission, you will still need one for your visa application. So even if your college does not require TOEFL or English proficiency, you will still need to do one for visa application. And it's really easy. They are taking Duolingo as well. So the visa application will accept Duolingo scores. So proof that you have proof of funds. This includes proof that you have paid your tuition and proof that you have living expenses. So for visa required students, you have to show that you have a minimum of €7,000 in your account to do for the year. We recommend up to 15,000 because that's sort of a little bit more of a realistic amount for cost of living for a year at Trinity College. And you need medical insurance. Now, since it's the first time you guys will be applying for a student visa or doing any Irish immigration process, you can use medical insurance from your home country, but just ensure that it satisfies immigration requirements. It is good for your health needs personally, and it covers you internationally. That's the most important part. As long as it shows that it covers you here, it covers you in Ireland, covers you internationally in Europe in case you need to travel anywhere. And you need your passport, obviously, your proof of identification. Now, there's more details there. There's more documents that you will need. Those are just the very basics. So we do strongly advise that you go onto the INIS website there and you check out what you will need for a visa application. So we say submit it as soon as possible, as early as possible, from 3 months before you start your program, 3 months before you know that you will arrive here. Okay, so just to move on to immigration registration, this is something that all non-EU students will have to do after they arrive. So whether or not you need a visa to enter Ireland, as long as you don't have an EU passport, you will need to register with the Irish Naturalization and Immigration Service. They have an office in Dublin for students who live in Dublin. So after you arrive, you're given a landing stamp. This is an equivalent to a visa for students who require a visa, and it's valid for up to 90 days. It could be less, but for the most part for students, it's usually valid for 90 days. And students are to register with immigration to get what's called an IRP card. Some people might also call it a GNIB card. And this is immigration permission. So this is permission to reside. And as opposed to a visa just allows you entry into the country. This allows you to live and study and work part-time as a student in the country. So there's an online appointment system. You book an appointment, you go in, and they take biometrics, and then they send you your card. So you have to make sure you give them the right Dublin address that you have. So we promise after the first year, it's a much easier process to do. You just renew it online. But as it says there, we'll give you a lot more information about this during orientation. But if you do have any questions about it now, do feel free to ask. So just to let you know, we have, this will be recorded and we'll put it on our website, and we'll also probably include the slides. This is our immigration FAQ for Trinity students. We update it as we get more updates from the immigration office. So we do encourage you guys to go and check that out. Sorry, it's just loading there.
Yeah, it's probably important to note that that FAQ document isn't only updated by us, it's other areas of Trinity too. And it's kind of the most comprehensive guide of all things that are coming through and all decisions that are being made and all support services.
Yes.
So it's probably worth checking into that once a week, maybe once or twice a week, to have a look at the areas. It's quite good and it's quite detailed and easy to understand. But if there is something that you don't understand, you can just reach out to us and we can either email you the information or arrange a call with you.
So as things do keep changing, we will have to keep updating the website. So don't just check it once and leave it. We recommend that you check it at least once a week or so, just in case anything's changed. Another one to point out as well would be immigration's very own COVID updates and announcements. We're just going to point out a couple of the announcements that they most recently announced. So they have resumed taking visa applications. They're only taking long stay visa applications for now, and this does include study visas. And in an emergency case, they might take short stay visas. So now just a caveat here, there might be a lot of countries that their visa centers still have not opened. The presentation here. Okay. So yeah, that was just the announcement page that I just went through. The link's right there. If you just go on the INIS homepage, it will guide you to this page. So if you scroll down on the inis.gov.ie, if you want to take a picture of that, and you can just go into the homepage and it'll bring you here. So just in terms of upcoming information sessions that you might be interested in, this is more aimed at postgrads and fourth year students, but if you're interested in knowing how to get a job here, whether while you're studying or after you study, you're more than welcome to come. So next week, the 22nd of July at 1, and then the week after that, we have an accommodation workshop. So if you're interested in getting off-campus accommodation, that would be a good one. So as Michelle said, we have social media. We have all the social media except TikTok. And do keep in touch with us on social media. We post blogs as well, and we'll start advertising our blogs on what to prepare when you're coming to Ireland, what to pack, what to bring with you, life as a first year in Ireland, Freshers Week, just all that sort of beginning college life stuff we'll be starting to post on our WordPress blog account. So that's all of our social media. And we also have a website via the study website on tcd.ie, so do check us out there. And if you have any more questions after this webinar, our email is there, tcdglobalroom@tcd.ie. I know some people email tcdglobal@tcd.ie, but just remember to include the room. And we'll be happy to answer any questions. We are still very much active, just remotely. So if you do have any questions, please, we're more than happy to help. Okay, so that's all on the presentation. We will take some questions now. So Guy, if you've been looking at the Q&A box there.
Yeah, there's a new question on the chat from Sophia, saying if the students are meant to sending their passport for re-register for immigration, is there an alternative to this? I guess you can re-register online, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So for renewal, you will have to send your passport in via registered post. So there used to be a process of re-entry visas, and registered post has always worked for that. It's perfectly safe. They give you a tracking number. This is done through An Post. So it's our Ireland's mailing service. So you get a reference number. You get you can track your passport every step of the way. They also give the immigration office this reference number. So if you quote it to them, they will know what passport yours is. So it's perfectly safe. They piloted it last year and it worked really well for students. So
Abby, just to add, we do understand that people can be very nervous about sending their passports, but it worked incredibly last year,
so
and
fast.
Last year was the pilot. People were getting their renewals back within a week, some 3 days. You talk from your experience, PA, please.
Yeah, well, I didn't need a visa, but I did answer this query in the global room, and students came back and said, yeah, like no problem, it arrives in 3-5 days, maximum 2 weeks.
Yeah, a lot of our ambassadors as well had to go through the process and said it was the easiest thing ever. They send you back your passport and you can track it every step of the way.
So even though it can seem quite scary, it was the best thing that ever happened to renewals for all students and staff. And we didn't have any students coming back to us saying that they hadn't got their passport back or their passport had been lost or anything like that. So we've very good relationship with the INIS. And we know that they're very efficient with that process, so it does work very well. So I assure you, there's nothing to be worried about. Anyway, okay.
And just to reiterate that it's true registered post, so not the regular post, because you can track registered post. So any other questions, Guy?
There's a couple of questions on when students are going to move back in. So
when to move back in?
Yeah, because people are here saying when would I have to start doing my visa if the course is not starting until late September or mid-September.
So with not so much travel restrictions, but with quarantine regulations and stuff, we do recommend that students plan to get here 2 weeks before the start date, to 2 weeks before orientation even. So that would be aiming for quite early in September, and you can start applying for a visa 3 months before that.
And we understand people have various questions about quarantine and can their parents come over and what that process is. At the moment, we don't have full clarification on that, but as soon as we do, we will communicate with you.
Yeah. At the moment, there is still a 14-day quarantine requirement, but we are keeping updated on whether or not this will change. But rest assured, students are still allowed to come into Ireland, but we'll just have to quarantine for 14 days.
Yeah. Then there's also a couple of questions of students wanting to come with their parents to Ireland. I guess here the parents can just apply for if there's no travel restrictions and only students are allowed in, they can just ask for a tourist visa, right?
We wouldn't be 100% sure of that at the moment, Guy.
So depends of
Yeah, so it will very much depend regarding students bringing parents over. It might be difficult due to like capacities in houses and quarantine. So we haven't finalized information on that yet, but as soon as we do, we'll communicate it with you straight away.
Yeah.
Okay. Next question.
Yeah, I see a question here on, it says, I heard that people from countries that do not require a visa to enter Ireland need to bring €3,000 to the immigration office. However, on the slide, I'm sorry, let me just clarify on that. The €6,000 on the visa is referring to how much fees that students have to pay, and that's a visa requirement. So if you're not visa required, this doesn't apply to you. The €3,000 is to show the immigration officer that you have sufficient funds. We of course recommend more than this for the year, but for non-visa required students for immigration registration, you do have to show at least €3,000. But we recommend more than this. Again, we'll go through immigration in more detail during orientation. Let's see. I see a question there on health insurance, how much it should cover. So if you go on the INIS website and just on their search function, just search private medical insurance, it should bring you to a PDF that will go through all of the details on how much is required, what you have to be covered for. So I believe there's a minimum of 21,000 emergency and accident, but don't quote me on that exact figure. I'd advise you to go onto the INIS website and just check out their health insurance PDF and recommendations. Do you notice any questions we haven't answered, Gia?
Well, there's a lot of questions.
Yeah, with about 17.
Yeah.
But I don't know, more or less.
Okay, so I have a GNIB card. Should I provide any additional documents besides health insurance, bank account, and letter from TCD? So I'm assuming that student is talking about coming back with a GNIB card already. As long as you return while that GNIB card is valid, you should be able to come in, no problem. But do, if you have a TCD letter and health insurance, do have those with you just in case. And I see that you asked about paying accommodation fees as well. If you have that with you, we always say it's better to be over-prepared than under-prepared. So bring everything that you can with you for border control.
And then regarding the documents on the Trinity acceptance, I guess if your diploma isn't printed yet, students can ask for a transcript here, as long as it's signed by the university. That would be fine.
Yeah.
Abby, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I see a question from somebody. I asked accommodation a question a week ago about moving in early, and they have not gotten back to me. Can you help? One of the reasons that they haven't got back to you is they're still trying to organize rooms. Now, I'm not sure which. I'm assuming you're with either one of the Trinity's accommodations, which we own as such, or are kind of associates, which are run by UNIS and other areas. All of those accommodation providers are having quite high level meetings at the moment about the best way to have people move in and keep them safe. So that's why they haven't responded to you yet, because those discussions are still very much happening. So we hope to have more information on that soon.
I see another question here. My parents have an Indian passport and they have a UK multi-entry visa. Can they enter Ireland on the valid UK visa? No, because the UK visa would not be valid to enter Ireland because Ireland is outside of the UK. So they will have to apply for an Irish visa. Okay. When will dorms be open for international students needing to quarantine? Again, that's something that, because there's different locations, they might have different dates that they're opening. But we are aware that they are allowing students to quarantine in Trinity Hall and in on campus. So whatever accommodation you've applied for, I'd say email residences at tcd.ie, and they'll be able to advise you on exact dates.
Yeah, similar as to what I just touched on with Abby is on campus and Trinity Hall are Trinity owned campus, but with Cabinet Court, Binary Hub, and that's it, is it? Am I missing one?
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Because they're different providers, they may have different rules. But as I mentioned there before, I do know there's discussions ongoing with the accommodation office and those parties, and they're hoping to have information very soon.
Yeah. I'm just seeing a clarification there. Someone said there's a scheme for UK to Irish visa. This was on a previous question to Indians. I think she wanted to ask if the scheme will be valid. So with that, because it's quite specific, I'd ask you to email tcdglobalroom@tcd.ie and we can check that for you. Okay. Are there any countries in the EU banning students, just to be sure that I will be definitely able to make it into the country? So if you are a student coming to reside in the country, I believe you can still enter the country. You would just be subject to a 14-day quarantine. Okay.
What else we got? These are great questions, so thanks. I'm sure other people are wondering these things too. So it's great, and it's great for us to know what you need to have answered, which is very useful.
Yeah. Here is another one on visas. My question here could be related to Kate's question. As far as I understand, every year we need a New Year's registration letter to update our visa. But this year, the term only starts on the 28th of September. If I understand that question correctly, so again, just to make a distinction between visa and immigration registration, I assume that's referring to registration with immigration. You will need to renew it every year, and you will need a registration letter from Trinity to do it every year. But subsequent years are done online. So the first year is the only time you need to go in person. Yeah, so you will need a new registration letter from Trinity every year to register with immigration. I hope that answers that question.
And there's two questions here on the money that you need on the bank statement.
Mm-hmm.
Can it be they ask, can it be in your national's country currency, or does it have to be explicit in euro?
Yeah, it can be in your currency just as long as it is equivalent to the amount in euro that's required. So I think for visa application, it's 7,000 euro. So as long as it's equivalent to 7,000 euro, it should be fine to be in your currency.
I see a question there. I missed the beginning of this conversation, so apologies if this has already been answered. No problem. And you can watch the rest of this. We do have this recorded. And says, but should we register for immigration now or wait until we are physically in Ireland? If you are a new student, you will have to go into the office in Ireland to register for immigration. But if you are a continuing student, you have to do it online. So what we mentioned is it's done via registered tracked post. So you go into OnPost, which is our postal service, and you send your passport and all the relevant details that you need, which we've touched on, and then it takes roughly on average about a week for your passport to come back. But as we communicated to another student, well, to all students, it's a very professional process, and there hasn't been any issues of students' passports or anything getting lost, and they were very happy with the service because it saved them a big headache from what they would have had to do in previous years, which was a lot more arduous and complicated.
Yeah. I see one here. I'm coming from the US and have a ticket for September 2nd, but I'm concerned with the instability and travel bans starting and stopping, that might be too late. Would it be advisable to come earlier? The 2nd of September seems fine. It should allow you the 2-week quarantine just in time for orientation. So as far as we know for now, the travel restriction exempts students. We don't know whether or not that will change, but we will keep students updated. Just what I would advise there is have a flexible ticket just in case anything changes so that you can change your ticket or arrival date. So if it's an option still for you, or if you haven't booked your ticket yet for anybody else here, we'll advise you to have a ticket that's flexible. The dates are flexible, so. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hi, I just wanted to ask about registration letter in regards to renewal of my IRP. I just finished the first year of my PhD. I can get a letter online from the academic registry, but it shows that I'm registered out of the first year. Would it matter if I attach the letter as part of my application? Now, I would say wait until you can get the most recent letter, depending on, I see that your IRP is expiring on the 20th of September. You should get a new letter before the 20th of September. So I'd say wait until you can get the letter for this academic year for 2021 to say that you're a second year. Okay. Just with questions with regards to studying online for first semester, that's something that we're still trying to clarify with the visa office. So keep an eye on our social media and on emails, and we'll try to update students as soon as we have more information. We're just reluctant to say much about the visa implications of studying online for first semester for now. So do keep an eye on our website, the FAQ, the INIS FAQ, and we'll update it there. Okay. Is there any situation in which students aren't allowed to get into Ireland? Now, the advice on that is entry into Ireland is at the discretion of the immigration officer that you meet at the airport. So what we'll say to that is just have, like I said, you can't be over-prepared. So have all of your documents with you, health insurance, any scholarships, if you have confirmation of accommodation, have it with you. So just be well prepared for entering into the country in that instance. So there's a clarification question here. So is €1,500 supposed to be shown in your bank account, which is for living expenses? That's just what we recommend. But just to clarify, if you're applying for a visa before entering the country, you need to show at least 7,000. We just recommend 15,000. And then if you're registering with immigration, you need to show at least 3,000. For visa required students, as long as you have the financial documents you had when you were applying for a visa, you should be fine. How do we get registration letter for immigration? When does it open? So registration for Trinity College, it goes out on a rolling basis. So they'll invite students to register in batches, and I believe that's starting in a few weeks, correct?
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's starting in a few weeks. We were discussing that with the academic registry, because they're the area responsible for registration. So it's done on a rolling basis, but they'll start from, I think it's the start of August.
Yeah, so whenever you're able to register, there is leniency and flexibility there with, obviously, if you can't get your registration letter, as Michelle said, we have contacts in immigration that we can advocate for students in that instance. What do you mean the travel ban exempts students? So if you're coming in as a continuing student with a resident permit, you're fine. If you're coming in as a new student, you're fine as well. So, but as we said, there will still be a requirement for a 14-day quarantine. So for registering with IRP, this is the last question that I can see anyway. For registering with IRP or GNIB, do we need to make an online appointment with INIS prior to going to their office? Yes. So if you're registering for the first time, again, we'll go through this in more detail during orientation so we don't confuse you yet. If you are registering for the first time, you will have to book an appointment. They're made up to 10, new appointments are released up to 10 weeks in advance. So if you know for sure when you're arriving and you know when you'll get your registration letter from Trinity, you can actually look online on the INIS website and book an appointment even before you get into Ireland. Just make sure that it's for after you're here and after all of your documents can be sorted. We do recommend that students book it after they arrive in Ireland, just so that you know that you have all your documents ready to go. So yes, if you're making a first-time registration, you need to book an appointment online. There's more information on that on the INIS website as well, and on the study website, on our website. At the time of entry in Ireland, should I carry €3,000 in person in cash? Please don't come with that amount of money in cash. If you can have it on an international bank card or anything like that, that's much safer than to have it all in cash. So they just need to see proof that you have €3,000 in a bank account. So you don't have to have that with you in cash.
We would really very strongly ask students not to carry large amounts of cash with them, because there's just ways of it getting lost. There's no track if cash is robbed, and it's just more stressful for you, and then equally as stressful for Abby and I if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
So please just have, if you need to have some cash, have a small amount of cash, and just have, as Abby said, your kind of bank card, your statement, sorry, not bank card, your statement of your bank account details, because I've heard of students kind of just putting their bag down and walking off and kind of forgetting that there's that amount of money in it and stuff like that. So it's just better safe than sorry. So we just strongly advise you not to carry large amount of cash.
Yeah. So that can't be strongly recommended enough. just be safe with that. I see a question here. I'm a final year student who studied abroad last year. Welcome back. I registered with immigration for the first 2 years, but not for third year. Do I register as a new participant? Now they've opened the online registration up to everybody. So before it was restricted to just students that were living in Dublin, that were going on to the subsequent year, that were here. So I believe you can attempt to register online. Just have your registration letter have an Irish address, and they'll assess it on a case-by-case basis. So you should be okay, because as far as the online registration is concerned, you are continuing as a Trinity student. You were a Trinity student last year, so if you have your registration letter, you should be able to register or renew it online. Because the online process assumes that they already have your biometrics and your details. So if you've registered with INIS before, you can renew online.
And then there's here another question, a student saying the course is going to be online. Mm-hmm. How can they do? Are they still eligible to be in Ireland from September onwards? Even
That's, we'd had that question before as well. We don't have clarification on that yet. So there's discussions going on around that at the moment. So as soon as we know, we'll let you guys know. But there isn't full clarification on that.
So that is all the questions I can see. Sorry if we didn't answer your question, or if you had a question that you couldn't think of right now. You can still email us. We're still here, 9 to 5 Irish time for summer. 5:30, sorry. So if you have any questions, and if you're confused about anything that we mentioned here, or if you need further clarification, don't hesitate to contact us. Another quick way to get a response is on our Facebook Messenger. So that's looked after by, sorry, go ahead.
The ambassadors. The only thing I would say, if it's a very personal question to you that you know, requires you to use a lot of personal data, keep that in the email. Okay, because the Facebook Messenger can be moderated by a multiple amount of ambassadors. So if it's either a sensitive issue or it requires your data for GDPR, which is a European data protection law, please send it in an email and be sure that you're comfortable sharing that information with us. Guy, can I just ask you to talk a bit about your experience in Trinity so far and your experience in the global room? I know I've put you on the spot and I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this, but now it won't be staged. They'll get it from a real student.
Well, I'm Spanish and I've been studying in Ireland for 3 years because I went on Erasmus to France on my 3rd year. I just graduated this year in economics and politics. And during my last year, these 2 semesters, I've been working for the Global Room as a student ambassador. We're an amazing team of students coming from all around the world. And this has, I don't know, I think this has been the top detail of the cake for my experience in Dublin. I've been very happy because the international rate of students is quite high. It's 25%, and there's a big objective of making it up to 35% by 2025. So yeah, I felt very included since the beginning. Also, a lot of students ask me, is Dublin safe? And yes, it is. I've had no problem. I've lived in 2 different places throughout my 4 years, and that has been totally fine. And yeah, I don't know. Also, it has opened many doors. So regarding working opportunities during the summers, and also right now, I'm going to continue on doing a master's, also outside Spain. So yeah, I don't know.
And one thing to notice about Guy, he did loads of wonderful work throughout the year. I won't go into it all, but if you have it handy, Guy, could you put the video about the last year of the global room that you made, just to give people an idea? I know we've gone through it, but it's nice to kind of see what you're coming to. But we're really excited, and if we missed one of your questions, just send us an email. So sorry about that, but it's hard to see with 50 people online. But it's great to get the queries, great to know what we need to be pushing other areas, even though I know everybody in Trinity and all of our like governments and INIS and all of those areas are working incredibly hard to make sure the student experience for international students is as best as it can be. It's forced us to be quite creative, which is quite good. We're doing things now that we never thought we would do, and we adapted to it quite quickly. So I'm quite sure and quite confident that this year will go very well. Look, I'm not going to pretend that we won't have a few glitches here or there, because everybody's had to adapt to a new normal very quickly. But one thing I can say is the team of academics, admins and support services, not just in global relations but across the wide range of the university, is brilliant, and they're really committed to helping students. But the main thing to say about the global room is it can be quite overwhelming when you arrive to a new country, a new school, and we have the added pressures of COVID and all of that. But one thing you can be rest assured is, if you don't know where to go, we will. So don't bother running around everywhere getting very stressed and upset. Just pop us a message, and we'll be able to help you out either over the phone, and then when things have maybe settled down, in person, kind of catch-ups or meetups. We could do that in Zoom at the very start or before you arrive as well.
Yeah, I can see other questions coming in. If you have any more, please do email us or message us. If it's a quick question and not personal, you can message on Facebook, but if it's more specific, email. I see someone asking about student clubs and societies. They will still be active this year as far as we know. You can join at any time over the year, and you can join online. You can email them to join. Another student is asking for second year. Oh, any other questions you have, just feel free to email us or message us on Facebook, and we'll try to answer.
And things about fee payments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What is kind of student for second year for the renewal of visa?
Yeah, I saw that question as well.
We'll take that one offline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have it there, Guy?
No, yeah, I have the video ready whenever you want.
Are you able to share your screen?
I can share my screen.
Oh yeah, great.
Hope this works. Yeah?
Yeah, that's perfect. You have to share your sound as well, because I don't think we can hear it.
Sorry.
No worries. So if you stop sharing and start again, but just click on the icon that says share sound.
Or alternatively, we can put the link in and people can watch it whenever they want.
You got it?
Yeah.
Perfect. Two, three.
There you go.
So they're
Thanks,
just
yeah.
some of the things you can expect.
Yeah.
So I know everything we're discussing at the moment is all very kind of serious and administrative, but I'm sure we're going to have a great experience this year. It will be a bit different to other years, but we're working really hard to make sure that it goes as well as it does. So if you have any other questions, you can send us an email or you can message us on Facebook about anything. And Abby, do you want to, what else do we have in the series of videos?
Series of videos.
Sorry, you know the way we're doing this and then we're doing...
A series of events, yes. So if you're a fourth year or a postgrad currently in Trinity, or if you're interested at all in learning about getting jobs and work permits in Trinity, and the opportunity to work after you graduate, we'll be having an event on next week, Wednesday, the 22nd of July at 1 p.m. It's going to be a webinar as well with myself and someone from the Careers Advisory Service and a recent graduate. And we're just all going to be sharing the legal side of working in Ireland and also the practical side. So looking for work, improving your CV, what employers are looking for, stuff like that. So if you're interested, that's next week, Wednesday. We also have an accommodation workshop coming up on the 29th, correct? And that's going to be us and Threshold. They're an accommodation service outside of Trinity that provides support for accommodation. So we're going to be looking at applying for accommodation off campus there or outside of Trinity accommodation. And that's on the 29th at 1 to 2 p.m. as well. So watch this space, as they say. Look on our Facebook and Instagram for details for that.
And we're going to be doing more. They're just the ones that are just coming up in the next week or so, next couple of weeks. We'll probably do another one of these, maybe 2 or 3 more of these type of sessions, and then we might have we'll talk about other areas and give you a bit of an update when we've more information. So keep in touch, and we're really excited about you coming. So we hope to welcome you very soon.
Yeah. Do let us know how you heard about the event. If you're on the Facebook groups, we'll probably be posting on that as well, so be on the lookout for that.
We're going to do a survey on how this went and what the other likes of things you would want to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
And you can also check our Instagram, TCD Global.
Yep.
Yeah.
Plugging us. Okay.
Shameless plug. All right.
Have
Thank
a good
you so much
morning,
for coming.
evening, afternoon, depending on wherever you are. Okay.